Solving quadratic equations. The objectives are solve quadratic equations by extracting the square roots and solve quadratic equations by factoring. Okay, let's start with factoring. It is a must that you can still remember the factoring of quadratic expressions before you proceed to this lesson. Okay, so given x squared minus 3x is equal to 0, step 1 is to factor this equation. And the factor of this expression, x squared minus 3x, is x times quantity x minus 3. Then write down equals and 0. Then step 2, equate each of these factors into 0. So x is equal to 0, and x minus 3 is equal to 0. Then, so we already have the value of x on the other side, which is equal to 0. And on the other side, we want this x to be left alone. So we will add 3 to both sides. Why? Because you want to eliminate this. Negative 3 plus positive 3 is equal to 0 because you want x to be left alone. Then 0 plus 3 is equal to 3. Therefore, we have two possible values of x. X is equal to 0 or x is equal to 3. You can write it into this way, 0 or 3. And given number 2, x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. Factor them by trial and error. We will get x minus 3 times quantity x minus 2. Then write down equals into 0. Then x minus 3 is equal to 0. You equate them. Also the other factor, x minus 2 is equal to 0. Then we will solve each of them. In this case, we will add 3 to both sides. Why we need to add 3? 3 is the opposite of minus 3 because we want to eliminate this minus 3. So we have to add 3 to both sides to maintain this equality, and at the same time we can cancel out this one. So that x will be left alone on this side, then 0 plus 3 is equal to 3. On the other side of the equation, minus 2. So what's the opposite of minus 2? It is positive 2. So we have to do it on each side of the equation. Now, so next step is eliminate. Minus 2 plus positive 2 is 0. So x will be left alone here. Then 0 plus 2 is 2. So in this given, we have two possible values of x. And that is x is equal to 3 or x is equal to 2. In third given, x squared plus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0. So the factor of this expression is quantity x plus 5 times quantity x minus 2. Then write down equals to 0. Then x plus 5, equate that into 0. Then this x minus 2, equate this also into 0. Then solve each of the equation. So we subtract 5 because we want to remove this plus 5. We have to do that also to the other side of this equality symbol because we want to maintain the equality, so we have to do the same on each side. So after that, we're going to simplify. So that x is left here. Then 0 minus 5 is negative 5. So on the other side, add 2 to both sides because we want to eliminate 2, negative 2, so that x will be left alone and x will be left here. Then 0 plus 2 is positive 2. Therefore, in this given, the possible values of x are negative 5 or 2. What are the uses of these possible values of x? If we're going to substitute this to their original given equation, it will satisfy them. So let's say the value of x, one of the value of x here is 0 in this equation. So if x is 0, so we can substitute this x into 0. So it becomes 0 squared minus this 3. Then this x is also 0. So notice that 0 times 0 is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Then 0 minus 0 is equal to 0. So it satisfies this equation. The same is true for this 3. And this given here, 3 or 2, they will satisfy this equation. This negative 5 or 2, they will also satisfy these equations. In case that they will not satisfy those equations, it means these values of x are rejected. Okay, so this kind of given can be solved by extracting square root. Okay, so in this kind of given, just write them down and square both sides. Why do we need to square them? Because you want x to be left alone. So this radical sign will simplify and cancel this exponent too. So x will be left here. And the square root of 9 is positive 3 or negative 3. So it is not only positive 3 because positive 3 times positive 3, it makes 9, as well as negative 3 times negative 3, also makes 9. Therefore, we have two possible values for x, that is positive 3 or negative 3. For given number 2, so we need to simplify this first. I would like to write it again. So I want to remove this 4. So you can do that by dividing both sides by 4. Notice that if we're going to do something on this side, we must do the same on the other side because we want to maintain the equality symbol. So we divide both sides by 4 for the reason that we want to eliminate this, and x squared will be left here. Then 100 divided by 4 is 25. Then next, follow this step, squaring both sides. So after squaring both of them, you can simplify this exponent 2 and the radical sign. So x will be left alone. Then the square root of 25 is positive 5 or negative 5. This is how we write the answer. Okay, for the example number 3, x squared minus 49 is equal to 0. So I want to simplify this. I want x squared to be left alone on this side, so I will add 49 to both sides. So that this negative 49 will be eliminated by this. So x squared will be left on the other side. Then on the other side, 0 plus 49 is 49. Then do these steps, squaring both sides. So after squaring both sides, we can now simplify or cancel this radical sign and exponent. So x will be left alone. Then the square root of 49 is positive 7 or minus 7.